Hello, sir.
Hello, hello.
Hey, can you hear me pretty good?
Yes, yes,
All
can you hear me?
righty. Pleasure
I'm
to meet
doing
you.
good.
How are you?
No complaints, no complaints, indeed.
Awesome. Well, my name
Yeah.
is Matia, and I'm with AJ3 Report. And
Nice,
so I
nice.
am very, very excited about my interview with you today. Before we even get started, I have to tell you, I'm a really big Donny Hathaway fan.
Yeah.
And the remake that you did,
Uh-huh.
what was it a song
A
for you?
song for you? Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Listen, I love, 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 love this. I had to get that out the way first.
Thank you. You know what? That means a lot, for
It
sure.
was beautiful. Not everybody can take a Donny Hathaway song and remake it, but you did. So listen, as a fan of his, thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Tell us a little bit about you, Mr. Ross. We know that you're a singer. We know that you're a songwriter. You have a resume, but maybe not as many people outside of the industry perhaps know about you. So give us a little bit of background about you.
Well, I'm from Washington, D.C.,
Right?
born and raised. My whole father's side of the family, they sing or play instruments.
Mhm.
I grew up partially in the church, partially in the arts. So I have that kind of culmination between me. I went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts for high school.
Ah,
And then from there, I went to Berklee College of Music for college. And
wow.
then after I graduated from there, I moved down to Atlanta and
Okay.
I started writing at first. And then I started writing for people like, who was my first? Oh, yeah, Jamie Foxx.
Oh, the
And
first is Jamie Foxx.
yeah, that
Okay.
was my first placement. Yeah, that was my first
Wow.
placement. Yeah. So I started writing for Jamie. I started writing for SWV and Johnny Gill and Dave
Hmm.
Hollister. And then I started writing for like your Trey Songz and
Wow.
him with records with Lil Wayne and Ty Dolla Sign and Nicki. And then started writing for Tank and Tony Braxton. And so it's been a really cool journey to write for so many people. And then even like, the young stars that's coming up, like Jacob Lattimore's and Trevor Jackson,
Okay. Okay.
stuff like that. So it's really kind of, it's been cool. And then, of course, I'm an artist myself.
Mhm.
And I was signed to a label once upon a time, and we put out some music.
Wow.
And just so happens that one of those songs went #1 on Urban AC Radio.
Mhm.
I was the youngest artist on the platform during that time when
Wow.
Urban AC was not cool to be
Right.
on. Um, so we got a #1 there, and then I decided to walk away from all that and start my own company called Art Society Music Group,
Mm.
and partnered with Empire for Distribution, which is a company from out of San Francisco.
Okay.
And yeah, I released a project called Audacity Volume One, and
Okay.
it went really well as far as it was #3 as far as on iTunes R&B charts,
Mhm.
and we scored top 20 with the single thing called Love.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a little synopsis about
So, it's amazing to me as you're reading off your writing placement resume,
yeah,
those are absolute legends and you've worked with, the best of the best. And so that must be a dream come true for a writer, for an artist to be able to work with
yeah,
people who are at the top of the game, so to speak.
yeah. It was very. I mean, it is a humbling experience. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like I think that I've had the chance to work with so many others, so many songs that haven't come out between me and people that I've collaborated with. I've been blessed to
Wow.
work with Babyface for 2 weeks in the studio. I've been blessed to work with
Wow.
Diane Warren. I've been blessed to work with David Foster.
Oh,
I've been
wow.
blessed to work with a lot of like really cool people, a lot, like you said, like a lot of legends. And
Yeah.
honestly, it was just really an affirmation, and God just kind of confirming that it's like, you stay down, you
That's
sow
right.
seeds, and so it's time for you to reap, and it's really
Absolutely.
cool. So
And for people out there who aren't familiar with some of those names like the Robert Fosters and Diane Warrens, these are people who
yeah,
wrote songs for like Whitney Houston, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah, I
so
have nothing. Yep.
that's no light thing, not at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
So let me ask you, you have quite the resume. What do you attribute that hard work? What do you attribute to your success? Because you don't just get to those places on accident. What are the things that you believe kind of put you in alignment to be where you are currently?
Belief, in myself,
Mm-hmm.
listening to my spirit of discernment as well,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that I was connected to the right people at the right time too. That matters. There's only so much that you can do as a creative,
Right.
and it's the people that represent you when you're not necessarily present that
Right.
matters the most. So that, and then also just my relentlessness as well. And then as I've gotten older, I've acquired a certain skill set, which is executing,
Wow.
with all of the ability in the world that people may have. The one thing that I think a lot of people may forget is to finish what you start.
Yes,
You know
sir.
what I mean? Or just begin, for
Absolutely.
that
Just
matter.
start. That's right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely awesome. So, you just kind of described yourself as a creative. So, aside from music, how else are you able to express yourself creatively?
Outside of music, uh, that I can express myself creatively.
Hmm.
Uh, that is a very interesting question, because it feels like everything that's creative within me
Hmm.
is dealing with music. Like I could do other things, like I can cook a little bit. I guess that's creative.
Okay, it is
Um,
absolutely.
I can I can talk. I can motivate and inspire. So I
Hmm.
guess that's creative as well.
Absolutely.
Um, Let me see. Yeah, I mean, I could do tons of things. I wouldn't necessarily call it creative. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But
Anything that comes from within you, I think that you're
yeah,
life to is creative.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
So let me ask you this. Again, you've called off an awesome resume in terms of artists you work with, producers you've been able to work with.
Yeah.
What else is there that you would like to do musically?
I would like to. I would like to get multiple number ones as an independent artist.
Mm.
Uh, I would like to sell out a theater tour.
Oh.
Like your Maxwell's or your John Legends.
Mhm.
Um, I would like to have my imprint to be a catalyst for independent artists, so that I can partner with up and coming artists,
Mhm.
to teach them the ropes, to literally, help them to plan out their blueprint.
Mhm.
Um, I would like to attribute, or at least contribute to, the next 40 years of music,
Mm.
and whether that's creatively, as far as like me actually laying down records,
Mhm.
or just being a part of some of the biggest acts, within the future.
Right.
Um, so that when I'm old and gray, when I'm 60 and 70 years old, I can sit back and listen to the radio, and to say that, I had some kind of piece,
Right.
of, how music, turned out, and be proud of it, and to sit back and smile. So
That's
yeah, those are
absolutely
the
awesome. So, you've talked about your own label, and I've
mm,
heard you talk about, the artist, independence. What is it that you've seen or that maybe you went through that really brought that home for you? Like, you know what, I need to have my own. It's really
yeah.
important to have your own. What is it that, led you there?
You know what? A very, very, I wouldn't even say simple, but it's just a story that was straight up.
Hmm.
Somebody came to me with an opportunity to say, hey, we're interested in, putting your song on a game. And I was like, okay, cool, dope, yeah, not a problem.
Right.
And that's when I realized that I had no power and say over whether or not I could put a song that I wrote and produced
Mm.
onto a video game,
Wow.
or a movie. I had to ask permission from the label, because they own my masters. And when you own someone's masters, even though the IP, the intellectual property, came from you, you signed away your rights to your creation, right? So that means that they can wager to say, well, they're offering 20 grand for, the license for this song, for this game. And you're like, okay, bet, that sounds
Right.
good.
You're right.
Right? So they may negotiate on your behalf, well, not even on your behalf, but they may negotiate with your master, something different, and say, nah, we want 30. Or you know what? No, we don't want to do that opportunity. And they can literally pass it up for
Wow.
me. What would seem to be a good opportunity, they can throw away. But it's out of your hands, it's out of your control. And I mean, I was really only one album in, and things started to it was starting to pick up in a very pretty organic way.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, it wouldn't mean anything if I didn't have control over it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It would really be for show. You know what I mean? Just to say, hey, look at me, I'm successful. But I gotta ask my mommy and daddy within the music industry, can I do this? Because I don't own anything. And if being an artist technically, depending on your deal, which my deal was kind of like being a glorified work for hire. You know what I mean? You gotta pay artists more if you're gonna be a glorified work for hire.
Absolutely.
If I'm going to make you millions of dollars and you give me, not even 5% of that, within the advance of the loan, and it doesn't necessarily make sense, and it's not as lucrative for the artist and for the creative. So a lot of people, they do get bitter. They do grow resentful because you're chasing after the fame and the stardom and to be acknowledged and to be recognized, but then on the business end, you do want to be able to take care of your children, your family, and sometimes in the game it's hard to do both. When you're kind of in the middle, it's hard to balance both. So I chose to start my own. I was young enough to start my own company. And I would rather just build from the ground up now
Absolutely.
versus trying to do it later on when I may not have the vigor, I may not have the energy, I may not have the inspiration to do that. So, I decided to do it now.
That's so admirable because, I think it seems like since the beginning of time with regard to music, we've been seeing that, especially from Black artists. I feel like we see it so often where you kind of become slaves, so to speak, to that record company. And, you aren't able to really, generate what it is you deserve. Like you said, off of your intellectual property, those are lyrics and stories coming from your heart and your soul. And like you said, having to ask that permission is just, so, hey, that's very admirable,
And I would like to add one more thing. And I haven't necessarily said this at all, but I do want to speak to, especially because of the climate and the time that we're in.
Yes, sir.
And how we're relating. I'm going to relate this to the music industry. There's a lot of Black executives that have power, that have influence. And one thing that I feel like they've done a terrible job of is educating young Black artists, young Black producers and writers. Because of the fact that we understand how the game is played, because of the fact that we relate, because we come from the same places. I expect for those who have been seasoned, those who have been groomed, right, that have that experience to help us to make our experience and our business structure better. And I feel like they've done a horrible job in teaching the generations, because now the music reflects it. Now the artist reflects it. There's no reverence. There's no respect. It is chaos.
I agree.
And so we have to do better within not just music, but just in any facet of of business. We have to come together, and it's each one teach one. We have to bring up the next people. It's not a competition. It's not about me taking your spot. That's the problem. When we don't own something, you feel like you have to be the only one. For me, I want to create a space that is a Black-owned business, so that I'm not excluding it to just people of color, but I have a certain heart.
Absolutely.
And, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And compassion and understanding for someone that looks like me.
Absolutely.
So it's my job to educate, because I didn't have that. I didn't have that educational part after school. After school was more so, or during school was more so like the fundamentals and stuff like that, the rudimentary stuff. But as it pertains to the business, there was no one that kind of guided me through the business to help me to avoid those mistakes. So I really want for the Black executives to do better, take charge, teach your artists.
I think you're absolutely right. And, again, this is something we've seen repeated over and over and over. And like you said, we have Black executives, we have Black
Yeah.
label owners, and there's no reason why we're still seeing that continue on.
Mm-hmm.
And when one of us wins, when one of us succeeds, it opens up the door for all of us to, I think about Tyler Perry. I know he catches a lot of flack, but he's created a lot of opportunities for people to come into spaces that weren't once available to them, and they're able to produce, they're able to direct, they're able to to do things again that they probably would not have been able to do otherwise. And so I think that mission is super, super dope. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So earlier when you talked about some of your goals and wanting to kind of sell out theaters, like you mentioned John Legend, you mentioned Maxwell. So how would you describe your sound?
I'm a bridge.
Okay.
I'm legitimately a bridge. I'm capable to acknowledge my predecessors, the ones from the past. I am very present, you know what I mean, where I am, and understand the climate of music. But then I can, with hopes and aspirations, and just putting my ear to things, I can dictate the future of it too, of what it can sound like. So my job is a lot harder by trying to bring a lot of generations together to enjoy, one sound of music. Yeah. So it's a bridge. It's a big responsibility for sure.
It definitely is.
But it's like bridge music for sure.
I love that. So you talk about bridge music. I'm hearing you, talk about the empowerment of artists with regard to their own business.
Yes.
And I know I know a lot of things you went through with the record label. Kind of brought you there. But I want to go back, kind of like to your background. Are there things there in terms of how you were raised and things you were taught to believe that also kind of, because a lot of artists are like you, but they stay in those deals. They don't think about, doing what it is you're doing. So what kind of separates you there? What is it from that past or that background that is instilled in you that kind of helped you to see things differently and put that drive in you to kind of, go for those things?
I would have to contribute that to my parents, to be honest. While growing up, I went to like a middle school where it was like upper middle class, like Black kids.
Gotcha.
And I wasn't that. Okay. So every like 2 weeks, like when shoes would come out, like everybody would have shoes except for me. But I would only really be able to like buy new shoes maybe twice a school year. Or something like that. And it wasn't really like anything crazy either. Right. But one thing that I observed and that I watched is throughout the years when I was like, damn it, I want this and I want that and I want this. I didn't see my parents deny me and then satisfy their need. I seen them invest everything into our future, the things that were necessary. Right. So it wasn't like, no, Kevin, you can't get these shoes, but then I'm gonna go and buy some shoes for myself. Right. Never saw that. So that level of sacrifice and discipline in order to make sure to ensure that we were good, was embedded in me from an early age. And so I think that was a big help to me moving forward to say, okay, in my own business, I'm willing to sacrifice. Yeah. I'm willing to go without. I'm willing to not show off the success that I have in order to really invest in the right places. Yeah, I can get a brand new car and all out so that I, on a society standpoint, I'm successful as hell. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. But what does that do to my bottom line if I'm not able to provide, for my dreams? Yeah. For my company, for the people that ride with me, for my team members. How do I pay them if I'm riding around like a boss and they go without?
That's right.
That
says a lot. And I totally hear the motivational speaker thing. I can see you with the huge label owner one day. It is definitely in you. The foundation, the groundwork has been laid. That is clear to see.
Thank you.
But I want to talk to you a little bit more about your creative side. So as a creative, as a person who tells stories and, you write songs, do you have certain stories that you kind of keep for yourself just for art's sake, and then the ones that you're willing to part with? How does that work for you in terms of your creativity?
You know what? I think I've never really had too many issues with like when I write for other people and be like, damn, I should have kept that for myself.
Right.
I think I think other people when they listen to certain songs will say, damn, you should have kept that for yourself.
Right.
But honestly, you know, you have to know your sound. You have to know what narrative that you're trying to create, like the artist that you're trying to be, and and how realistic that can feel for the audience.
Yeah.
You know, authenticity really reigns true
Mhm.
in artistry. So I think honestly there was only maybe one song that I wrote that I felt like, damn, I could have kept that for me. And that was a song called "What's Best for You" for Trey Songz, and that went number
Oh,
one at Urban AC Radio too.
oh.
And at the time, I was just like, it's just a song, you know. And then when
A
thinking about
beautiful
it in
song.
hindsight and listening, I was like, dang, I could see how that fit me. But during the time, I just wasn't
Right,
in that space. But you know,
right.
like to each his own. I'm grateful for every song that I've written for other people, and I'm grateful for the songs that I write for me. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So typically when you're writing songs, how does that process go about? Do you kind of sit down with the artist, you're talking to them about what it is they're going through in their lives? Is it
Hmm.
based on things you're going through in your life, things other people are going through, and you kind of, put them together? How does that process work?
It varies from different moments and experiences. Like sometimes you do have the luxury to sit with the artist and say, "What do you want to talk about?"
Right.
But maybe 60% of the time you don't. You know, and it's really just you're going off the energy of the track, right? Or the melody can speak to you, and it's like, okay, well, what, through thank God for social media. Through social media, what is kind of the mantras that I'm hearing right now? What are women trying
Yeah.
to say? What are men trying to say?
Oh,
What
okay.
can be an anthem? What songs can speak for them that transcend uh the mundane in the sense of like the short-term instantaneous society, but
Mm,
like what can be a
okay.
classic while
Yeah.
still speaking to that, you know what I mean? So it's definitely, it's a task, but I think as creatives we try not to overthink it, and we
Mhm.
just go for it, and if we're right, we're right. If we're wrong, just another song, you know.
It's interesting to hear you say, because now I'm hearing, adding to your resume researcher, it's interesting to hear you say, like, going to social media and kind of seeing what the tone is. What are women talking about? What are guys
Mhm.
talking about? That's very interesting to hear you say that. I would have never thought in terms of songwriting, you considering even, going to that source.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's pretty cool. 'Cause actually, I wanted to ask you, basically what are things that kind of, what are some other things that influence, how you come up with music? And so,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's definitely one. And then a personal experience.
Yeah.
Nothing beats that.
Right.
But I think when you're trying to speak for, a hit song it's truly chemistry. It's
Mhm.
truly the power of like the right release at the right time, speaking
Yeah,
to the right audience, and then it really catching fire.
yeah.
But it's the ability to talk from a point that is me and you,
Mhm.
but multiply that by millions of people
Right.
to have the ability to sing a song where every person, even if it's a million people in the room, feel like it's touching them.
Yeah,
That's a hit song.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And honestly, some people have mastered that. You have your masters, your baby faces, your Neos,
Yeah. Yeah.
Dante Austins, different people like that. And once you kind of hone into that, like that's the zone. And truly, even when you're a master, everything doesn't fly, but
Right.
you can still carve it out and craft it out, and everyone knows like, oh, I know he's trying to speak to me, but I'm not there right now. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Right.
it is what it is.
Yeah, and music is so powerful in that way. I mean, you can be in a foreign country where people don't speak your language, but
Yeah.
they can feel the emotion in your songs and they can sing them, verbatim word for word.
Yeah.
So, and with that thought in mind, what do you feel the role of music should be, can be in our society, in our world? What do you think the role of music is? How important is the role of music, I should say?
Uh, well, I would say that the world would be definitely a lot more boring
Yeah.
Um, you know, we are the soundtrack to people's lives.
Yeah.
We're the soundtrack to movements. We're the soundtrack to hurt, to pain, to joy, to special milestones. People attach music to moments of their lives. You know,
Absolutely.
truly. You know, where were you when you were in high school when this song played, or you
Yeah.
know, like you remember those, and that's the power of it. I think that it is always and it will forever be our soundtrack. It would truly be a reflection of where we are.
Yeah.
Whether we like it
Mm-hmm.
or not,
Yeah.
it is a very honest reflection of our society or individual cultures and where they are. Because hits just don't happen because of force and money being thrown at it.
Yeah.
People have to respond to that.
Yeah.
And for better or for worse, it will let you know where we are.
Absolutely. And we're living in quite the times.
Yeah,
And oftentimes music, as you just, stated, has been a soundtrack of those times. I think about your Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, and your
yeah,
James Brown, I'm Black and I'm Proud.
yeah.
Out of curiosity, are there some stories, that you're harboring inside of you or that you're kind of working out based on the things that we're currently going through?
You know, the interesting thing about that is that I've always kind of spoke to moments like this.
Mhm.
So like on my first album, it's called The Awakening. And
Uh-huh.
so it was me understanding who I am and what I can bring to the world, how necessary I can be as it pertains to a musician and a creative. But on those records, I had, you know, uh, tracks like Be Great, you know what I mean, which spoke to my culture rising up and understanding, you're needed, each
Yeah.
and every person, or Look Up, where we speak about police brutality and fairness, and taking a quote from, a classic Boys in the Hood. It's either they don't know or they don't show. They gotta be blind or they just don't care about us. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So me and Lecrae did something like that. And sometimes you'll strike a chord, and then sometimes, it may not be indicative to the time. But
Mhm.
that's what catalog is for as well. So sometimes I look back to those for therapy,
Mhm.
um, and never to shove it down people's throats.
Yeah.
But for me in my mind, there's a song that's coming out with me, a producer by the name of Coast. He's from The Interns, and Idris Elba is on the track as well. It's
Wow.
called Kings,
Wow.
and so
Oh,
we're
I've
gearing up to
heard
put that.
some buzz about that.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're gearing up for that, and it speaks to where we are. You know what I
That's
mean? And
awesome.
it's just to to just feel our specifically Black culture with positivity, with love, with assurance that it's like we got each other. We are kings and queens. We
Good.
stand on we stand on the shoulders of those that that were before us, and it's our duty to carry the next generation so that they can see higher, so they can look higher and go further than what we could ever imagine.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's always on my mind.
Mhm.
um it's just trying to figure out a creative way of being different too, and how you say it. I think that you brought up some very interesting points as far as James Brown, I'm Black and I'm Proud, to What's Going On, to a change is gonna come, Sam Cooke, to Someday We'll All Be Free by Donny Hathaway, to
Mhm.
I mean so many different styles, and they all feel different,
Exactly.
um
And timeless.
and timeless, and so the thing is, like, even the new record that I have out is called God Is a Genius. It speaks to that. It speaks to, me personally, I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe that God is forsaking us. I
Mm.
don't believe that this is all happening because God doesn't care about us.
Right.
He's allowing for this to happen to make sure that change does happen.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, sacrifices do have to be made. Certain things do have to happen. Certain levees do have to be broken
Yeah.
in order for everyone, that we're all clear.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to bring it back to social media, but it to reflect the time and to see on my timeline on social media, everyone is in one accord.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's not too many messages and posts that don't speak on what we're going through
Absolutely.
right now.
Mhm.
So as long as we're there will be creatives to speak to that. I just want to be a creative where I just don't want it to be a sad song. I
Right.
want it to be uplifting. I
Mhm.
want it to feel like how I truly feel inside. I'm hopeful. I believe in God's mercy because hold on one second. If you can hear me, hold on.
I can hear you.
Let's see if I can get back on here. I'm so sorry about that.
No worries, no worries at all.
I'm going to make sure that the sound is on. There we go.
Okay, no worries at all.
Sorry about that. But yeah, I don't want to be the artist that that truly doesn't reflect how what's going on and how I feel on the inside either.
Mhm.
You know, God continues to allow for the world to spin. And things could be a lot worse than what people
Good,
what
good.
people realize. And as long as He blesses us every day to spend on whatever access that we're on,
That's it.
and the masked void that we're in,
Yeah,
that's mercy.
that's true.
That's mercy upon us. We have the luxury to fight for something better
Absolutely.
versus for everything just going, you know, it's just be the survival of humanity, So I'm I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because he's sustaining us and he's allowing for things to be better.
Absolutely. And that's such a great point because I think, like you said, we sometimes we just get so caught up in what's going on and
Yeah,
everything that's wrong that we don't look at what is right. And
yeah.
as hard as these times are, we're fortunate that we can continue to wake up another day and fight another day because
Mhm.
yesterday could have been it, collectively. It could have been it for everybody, but we're still
Yeah,
here and we're fighting. So clearly there's some purpose that still has to be served. So
absolutely.
awesome point. Now I want to ask you a question. We talked about different songs that take you back to this time or that time in your life. Can you give
Yeah.
me 3 songs not written by you
Uh,
that take you back to some pivotal moment in your life or some fun moment in your childhood?
ah, yes, I with pleasure.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go from like I'll go from college, high school to grade school.
Okay.
College, I remember when Neo So Sick came out,
Oh,
and I
mhm.
remember it was cold. I remember it was like November, December,
Oh,
and I remember being in a cab,
mhm.
and I was like, "Who is this?" And I
Right.
was like this song is amazing. Like, what is
Absolutely.
this? And I was just blown away. And I remember from then on, like Neo, like really like playing out for the rest of like college for me. Like
Mhm.
as far as just like hits on hits, it was ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Then high school for me was Usher.
Oh
So
yeah.
I I remember Confessions, and I remember this vividly because when I first heard the album or when I first heard Yeah, I hated Yeah. I was like, oh, this sucks. I don't like it. I'm a fan of 8701. You don't have to call. Like
Gotcha, yeah.
these R&B classics or whatever. So when
Absolutely.
I heard this crunk R&B thing, I just
Right.
wasn't. I wasn't sold on
It
it.
was new, yeah.
So, but when I heard the album and when I heard it, everything in totality, and I was like, oh my
I love
goodness, like
it, yeah.
this is incredible. This is pre. This I mean, this is pre like love and hip hop. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, like he was giving us the drama. You
It
know
was.
what I mean? Like
I
we was
love
still
that.
in dial up and DS. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love
We
that.
wasn't even really efficient as far as I don't know if Wi-Fi existed back then to the
No,
point where
I
we
don't
could
think
give
so. I think
information.
it was data. I think you were lucky to have, or like you said, the dial-up. I don't
Yeah.
think you really had Wi-Fi back then.
Yeah, so that drama was like intense. Like every radio station was like, whose baby is this?
Right.
Who did he get pregnant? Here's the song. And you was like,
Right.
yeah.
That whole body of work, and I remember that well. I was in college when that album came
Yeah.
out, but it was just like from a start to finish, it was just a great story.
Yeah.
And you just really, really identify with it. And just the essence of being able to capture emotions and things that people can all relate to. And it's just, it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I love Confession. You're taking me back.
Yeah. And then I remember this one song. And I don't know if too many people remember this, but I remember this song because it showed me the art of storytelling. And this is very odd. I don't care. But there was a song by the Lost Boys. And I don't know if anyone remembers the Lost Boys. They were a rap group in New York who featured a rapper by the name of Mr. Cheeks.
I remember.
And he had a song by the name of Renee. And Renee was, okay, so I'm going to rap the hook real quick.
Okay.
It says, a ghetto love is a love that we live by. Every day I wonder why my shorty had to die. I reminisce this every day. Give it up for my shorty, right? So that's the hook of the song, but it was a single. And so these kind of songs during that time, like this was like late 90s. And so like his way of telling the story of how he met this girl, how like it was just so like vivid. I could see it. I hadn't even visited New York yet.
Right.
But I saw it. I saw everything. I saw the hallways. I saw the bus stops, the train station, and everything. And so that's kind of the first time that I was introduced to the art of storytelling that really captivated me. So shout out to the Lost Boys. Shout out to Mr. Cheeks for, kind of creating that childhood moment for me.
That's awesome. So those were the 3 songs. Okay. I just want to make sure you didn't cheat me on a song. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I can't help but to notice you have a shirt on that says love is dope.
Love is dope. Yeah.
It is. But what does love mean to you?
Love is everything. Love is what holds us together. Love is what holds us accountable. Love is something that we strive for and that we must practice every day. Because it has to be practiced. It has to be exercised because we can completely choose a whole nother, way to go. And being indifferent is not a choice right now. So we have to choose to put that energy into a particular place. Whether we hate, you know what I mean? Or we love, but a level of passion has to be there. And truly unconditional love, that's what I try to practice as much as possible. It's hard, especially nowadays in this climate. It's hard to show conditional love to people that you don't relate to or that try to do harm to you, or that that don't love you or respect you. But unconditional love is truly what God has for us, and so He demonstrates that every day, and I know that's what He wants for us. So with restraint, with poise, and with grace, I go on a journey every day to try to attain that, to everyone, to try to give unconditional love for everyone. So I think love's dope.
Like we've kind of touched on it back and forth here a few times throughout our conversation. But it definitely, I can't really say that it seems like we're now under attack in this country because there are things that we've been dealing with since we came here, things that just have not stopped, and which is, I know, a part of the mounting frustrations that we all have is that, okay, when is enough enough? But what message would you like to send out to people, something to keep in mind in these tough times when we turn on the news, it's all we see, and when we open up social media, it's all we see. If we're walking, in the halls at work or wherever we may be, it's a conversation. What do you want to tell people in terms of kind of keeping their center and being able to harbor love? What do you want to tell people?
We got us. And I'm not just talking about the Black community. I'm talking about humanity. I'm talking about the people that are on the front line, for real. It's tough now because the difference between any other moment in history is that we've always had a leader that shows some sort of compassion, some sort of understanding, that it was about us.
Right.
as a whole.
Right.
We've never had a leader of the free world to be so divisive,
Mm-hmm.
to be so, he's a separatist,
Yeah.
he's a terrorist, he's a communist,
Mm-hmm.
and a capitalist. He's just, like, he's all the wrong things at the wrong time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We've never experienced that.
No.
I think even though we had protests in 2014 with Mike Brown and Trayvon Martin and so many others that we had lost so many lives in a string of events, we still had a Black president in office. But not only that, but it was his word with us.
Mm-hmm.
Even during the time that King was assassinated and X was assassinated, we still had a leader that even if they truly didn't feel that, they knew that they had to speak to the climate. They knew that they couldn't forget about us, right? That made us feel like we were seen, that we were visible, and that we weren't less than human. Now, here we are in 2020 with the leader of the free world that is undeserving of the title, that truly doesn't need to be there. And so now we're mad and we're upset because now not only are we not being respected by the people that are supposed to police us, but we're not even being seen by the leader of the free world. Yeah. His comment before he even stepped into office is that what do you have to lose to our culture?
Right.
If that's what you speak to, then we're not seen, we're not heard, we're not cared for, we're not wanted, right? And now we're treated like terrorists, we're thugs, we're super predators. We don't forget that either.
Not at all.
You know what I mean? So with all that to be said, now the racial tension is at an all-time high because there's nothing from the other side to say, hey, we love you.
Right.
Hey, we think this is messed up, and this is coming from the higher up. Now we're demanding for the people that police you to show compassion. Right. What we get in return is you get the looting, we get the shooting. So with those things, and then on top of COVID, God, it's like it's like all these things amassed together that create this moment. And this is a special moment. This is what makes 2020 so special, because there will never be another moment like this in history. And it's still being written as we speak. So it's not finished yet. We don't know how this thing is going to end, but we know that at the end, that there will be a change. It has to. Nothing can stay the same, just like they kept saying with COVID. There's a new normal.
That's it.
And there will be a new normal for how we view each other as far as race and humanity, but also how we take precautions and take care of each other, even health-wise. So the new normal now, they spoke it into existence, they manifested it, and now we have to deal with that. This is the new normal. We matter, we count, we're seen, we're here, and we ain't going nowhere. We're one of the only cultures that bears no flag in this country. We can't trace our roots back.
Nope.
So for Italians, for Jews, for each and every person that's here, besides the indigenous people that they put on a reservation somewhere, right? And gave them a little piece of land to deal with. We are, as African Americans, we have no homeland. So when they tell us to go back to where we came from, where is that?
It's here.
And so if it's here, then we have to feel like we can bear that flag too.
That's right.
This is our home. And as a young Black man, the truth is that there's never been a time in my life that I felt like the police were for me. Ever.
No.
Unfortunately. Right. And so what I have to let my future children know is that it's not about the police, the system of it, which will change. There will be a new normal there too, eventually. But we have to police ourselves. I have to do a job as a future father. I have to do my job as a future uncle and a cousin to, you know what I mean, to my youngins out there, to say that we have to hold each other accountable. Absolutely. I have to teach you how to not only just conduct yourself in the midst of police, but just in the midst of our culture.
Absolutely.
Represent your family well. Represent us well. I understand young and wanting to show out and show off, but you represent a bloodline that we've worked hard for our name. We worked hard for being where we're at. You got to represent us well, to articulate yourself, to stand up when you see injustice, to know how to stay out of harm's way. That's policing from home. That's policing from the community. So when the police happen to step on the scene, we know how to conduct ourselves. They can go about their way. Because at the end of the day, we both want to go home.
That's it. We all want to go home.
we want to go home. I think that's at the end of the day, police need to understand that we're not here because we're willing to die for it, even though, some of us are. Right. But truthfully, in our heart of hearts, we want to go home. So as long as we understand that and we're clear on that, it doesn't need to be division.
Yeah.
If we need to have this generation of policing to die out, then allow for it to die out. But until then, we need to create a system in place for our community that knows how to deal with that. It's not fair. It's imbalanced. We cannot act the same way that white people act towards the police, because the system was never made for us. The same sheriff's badge that says sheriff is of Los Angeles or Atlanta, once upon a time, it said that that they were there to capture slaves.
That's it. Yep, that's it.
It's the same badge. It's the same. It's the same symbol.
It's knowing our history, but you're absolutely right.
So with that to be said, it was never meant for us. It was never created for us. Our ancestors fought for that. So now it's a luxury, not a necessity. And it's not something that they're trained to say they're your equals. So consider that. That's not the case. So we have to take more accountability to say for our youth to encourage them to do better. I've seen it. I've seen powerful people, Black politicians, just the Black elite ignore the youth. I've been in situations being Black youth and them coming to certain places and then actually being entertainment for something. I won't say the event, but I will say that it was in DC and it was a very posh and high power event with a whole bunch of Black powerful people, and it was beautiful.
Right.
But the truth was that when the entertainment came on stage and entertainer after entertainer, and these were all young people from the city to perform, and what did they do? They talked over them. They didn't pay attention. They never looked, right? So when it was time for me, I was like, oh, no. I can't even do that. I can't even.
Right.
So I said, before I even started, I was like, can I have your attention, right? And so I'm like, I'm on a platform. I'm the loudest thing in there. So you gotta pay attention.
Right.
I was like, before we start, I was like, I want you guys to understand that we're here in Washington, D.C., and these inner city youth are performing for you. Now, all of you people here, as far as within high power positions who say that you're for the people and for the future, you're not acting like it right now.
Yeah.
You're not showing us respect. So how do you expect for us to give respect to you when it's not naturally given in return? Granted, I get it, drinks are flowing, things like that. But if we're the future, if we're the ones that's supposed to carry the mantle, what do you think that we're going to be left with in these experiences?
Exactly.
Bitterness, resentment. So when we think of someone's name, oh, such and such, we don't care about such and such because they ain't care about me.
It leaves a lasting impression.
It leaves a lasting impression. So it's not just about talking about it, talking up a good game on social media, but really when you're out there and you see these inner city kids to sow into them, even if you don't even say anything to them, but give them the decency and respect to say, I see you, I'm looking at you, I will be quiet in this moment to hear what you have to say because it matters.
Yes.
And since that's not being done, here we are. The young people are frustrated. And it's a vicious cycle that's happening because they're not being seen. They're not being seen by police, but they're not being seen by the OGs within our community either. And so it has to change. And so for me, I'm kind of in the middle, being 30, it's like I ain't a spring chicken, but I ain't super old yet. So I have to be what J. Cole said, the middle child, and make sure that I hold both of generations together to say, hey, get it together. Like I think you've seen the video of the 31-year-old talking to a 45-year-old, bringing a 16-year-old into the picture.
That brought tears to my eyes.
That's powerful, because that 31-year-old needed to say, we need you, because obviously what we're doing here right now, we're failing you. Do better than us.
Right.
And big homie right here, you know what I mean? He just so with that being said, I think that was just a great indication of where we are. Like for Black leaders, it's like beyond your numbers, beyond the status, beyond the brand.
Absolutely.
What are you really doing? And are you really putting your money where your mouth is? And when you do show up as far as the Black inner city, do they believe you?
Yeah.
Because you can say all this and you can take pictures and the camera and all that stuff, and that could be great. But at the end of the day, these kids remember. These kids remember, and then they're going to be in a position of power. I don't want the same thing to happen. I don't want for them to ignore the next generation. We all matter. No matter how young, no matter how old. My bad. I know I'm talking a lot.
No. I'm loving all of this. Actually, earlier today, I was just having this conversation about how, we see people who benefit off of our culture, even our own people. And they are leaders, they are pillars, and they have been almost radio silent during all of this. And it's I think about that and it hurts my heart, because we go all out to support these people to make sure that you're able to tell our stories, or, this and that. And when it's in our time of need, instead of being a part of our community, it's more so, man, I got businesses, man, or man, I got a brand, man, I got corporate sponsors, or whatever it may be. And it's so very, very disheartening, and it leaves a lasting impression. And so we were talking about how going forward, I don't think I can support this person anymore, because where were they in the trenches when we needed them? Like, I saw a video the other day. Michael B. Jordan was out in the streets in LA protesting. And I'm going to remember that. And so when I see him do anything, you know what, let me go get my ticket. Like, let me get my ticket.
That's right.
Because I want to support who supports us.
That's right.
And again, people that we've looked to, I don't want to throw names out, but they're not there. And you see them in times. And what's really bothered me is I've thought about it. They're not here when Black people or Black men are under attack, but when maybe a Black man isn't shown in a favorable light, we go in on that. We want to highlight that story, and it's so disheartening. So
and that's very true. But that, that speaks to the capitalistic side of society, and especially when you've accomplished something, when you made a certain amount of money, you don't want to lose that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that. That goes for anyone. But because this is, a capitalistic country, even people that look like us, they tend to carry those traditions now. It's bad for the brand. How is this benefiting me? How is this benefiting my bottom line?
Right.
And at the end of the day, then a line will be drawn in the sand, because it's not about green anymore. Especially those that's on the front line. It's not about green. I understand that news has a quota. They have to create a narrative, whether it's divisive or not. Right. But for those, like you said, that we look up to, that we support when it benefits them, they have to say, we hear you. I hear you. I understand what's going on, whether they agree or not. Because the truth is, as artists, as creatives, as people with brands, we are in the business of servitude. No matter how you slice it, we're here to serve the people, not to serve ourselves. The reward that we receive is from the people. But without the people, what do you actually have? You have no sponsors. You have no endorsements if the people don't believe in you. the people don't believe you. So it goes back to service. Yeah. So whether or not in your heart of hearts, where you like, there's more to the story than yada, yada, yada. It's like, no.
Right.
Speak to the climate and speak to what's going on.
Yeah.
We got to be very careful because social media, yes, you can give your opinion, but it's more important than your opinion to speak to what's going on. Mm-hmm. So instead of saying, this is my opinion, you say, my heart goes out to each and every person that's on the front line. Right. My heart goes out to the family, to the children of George Floyd. They lost a father. They lost a brother. They lost a son.
Yeah.
Stick to the facts. Yeah. You ain't got to give your damn opinion about nothing if you don't have one that is tasteful.
Right. Right. There's always a way.
There's always a way of getting your point across without, of course, for people who care about capitalism, you know, messing up your brand.
Yeah.
But still speaking to people that are hurting. I see you're hurting. I want to help in any way that I can.
Yeah.
Even that.
and that would work.
Would suffice. Yeah.
It would work.
Yeah. So.
I know we talked about the single Kings that you're working on that's featuring Idris Elba, but are there any other projects that you're able to tell us about?
Yeah. You know, new single, God is a Genius. You know, for people who want to feel good, but still understanding like God got us. It's not a gospel song, but it's to put us in a good place, you know, and it's a great soundtrack for what's going on. So God is a Genius for sure. Audacity Volume 2 will be coming out as well within the next couple months. Like honestly, I'm playing it by ear as it pertains to whatever else happens, whoever else I'm going to collaborate with, because you never know. I got on the song Kings last week, and so you know now it's coming out, and you know it's going to be a great thing. But you know, we'll see. I'm just kind of keeping my heart and my spirit open, and making sure that I'm in tune with the people and what they need.
Yes.
Most. So yeah.
I love you have such a humble spirit. I love that you talk about, you know, being a servant of the people. I absolutely love that. I don't think you can go wrong with that. So something else I wanted to bring up with you. I saw on your YouTube channel that you do like the mashup.
Yeah.
So, my goodness. I'm trying to remember which one it was. You did the Teddy Riley and Babyface.
Yes, Babyface, yeah.
You are so talented.
Thank you.
So are we going to see more mashups from you?
Yeah, you will.
Okay.
You will. I think when the time is right and when it's tasteful, you know, I think nostalgia is what we're going to need. And that's what's big with my mashups, is that like I've done like a TV show, you know, series of mashups. I've done 90s R&B mashups. I've done all these things to like reflect nostalgia. And they've really like done very well for me and have amassed about like 40 to 50 million views. It's across social media platforms. So it's really awesome. It's a blessing. But it also speaks to knowing what, you know, the audience wants. You know, knowing what they want to hear, you know, within the time, whether it's to get their mind off of it or whether it's to say, you know what, man, you know, before a time when they had all them kids or, or you know what I'm saying, they was 15 pounds lighter. Whatever it is, I'm there to make sure that for those 2 minutes or 30 or 3 minutes, that I can put a smile on their face and take them back to a place that they probably never even thought of for years.
Right.
So that's what the mashups are really for. I enjoy them, and I enjoy, you know, looking at people's comments and seeing what that does for people. It motivates me to keep going too. So.
Awesome. And I think that's another reason why the Versus series has been so successful, because, you know, we're all going back to these wonderful times in our lives. Yep. And I think it's amazing. They had no way of knowing when they created Versus that all these things were going to happen. But I think it has been a saving grace for sanity and just really putting you in a happy place. You know, yesterday, I won't lie, you know, I fell into the black hole of social media and looking at the comments and posts. And so seeing Fred Hammond and Kurt Franklin's version last night just really, it's like, okay, I'm back.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
Yeah. So before we get out of here, can you tell
Yeah.
everybody how they can follow you and keep up with everything that's going on with you?
Absolutely. That is kevinrossmusic.com. Also, you can follow me at Kevin Ross Music on every social platform, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. I'm
That's it.
on there.
You're
Make
there.
sure you go and get God is a Genius right now. Stream it. Please enjoy yourself. Make sure that you get Audacity. And thank you for sharing your platform. I really appreciate it. For everyone that's on the front line, please stay safe. Know that God loves you. We are all God's children. So we are protected, we are covered. And always remember, no matter what, we're just trying to make it home. So just always have that as a mantra. Much love to all the families that are hurting. I send all my love. So thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Kevin. You have been a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Be blessed. Take
All
care.
right.
Bye-bye.